Hey everybody! Welcome to Let's Look at Legend of Grimrock 2. This is exciting for me because I did play Legend of Grimrock 1 back when it came out, which I believe was like May of 2012. It's getting to this point where even if games take a little while in development, when the sequel comes out, I've played the original, like on the channel. That's so weird for me and also kind of surreal that I'm still here and loving what I do, and I'm glad that a lot of you guys are here too. Now that we've got that sentimental bullshit out of the way, let's talk about Legend of Grimrock. What the heck is it? Well, it's this modernization to some extent of old-school dungeon-crawling RPGs. You could also think of it as kind of like a modern contemporary or counterpart, because not counterpart, it implies there's some kind of difference between them, but it's a little bit like Etrian Odyssey, you know, the tile-based dungeon crawler on the DS where you have the map on the top and then you got the dungeon crawling down at the bottom. It's a lot like that. But it's essentially a tile-based, turn-based dungeon crawler that you play in first person with the party. It's got old-school RPG trappings, but it's kind of presented in this kind of modern style as opposed to something like, you know, the Spiderweb software games like, I've totally forgotten what they're called now, but, you know, the, like, isometric kind of like, even older than Baldur's Gate type stuff. Yeah, this is like... It's an Unreal Engine, I think. It's taken it into the modern era to some extent. Not that I have anything against those games to begin with, but it's a little bit more accessible. I knew this was going to happen at some point. Canadian dollars have been added to Steam. No idea how much this costs in the United States of America. It's $26.99 in Canada. It comes out today. We're going to start up a new game. I have a game that I'm about an hour. It says an hour and 12 minutes. That's because I've died a lot. I'm probably about an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes into this one. With my party here, levels, as you can see, take an awful long time to accrue, but each skill point is very meaningful. We're going to start up a new game here because I know what's happening, and hopefully that'll make it a little easier for me to play, because this is a game that's difficult, and it doesn't really hold your hand too much, and there's a lot of puzzles, so I don't want to, like, start on my new, or my old game, and then be like, I got to a wall, and I don't know how to find the secret switch to get through it. So, you got all sorts of different options here. I'm going to create characters instead of just starting with a pre-made party. You can do old school mode, which means that you don't actually get a map, which is very useful. This is if you want to pull out the graph paper like early 1980s style and draw the lines yourself. I know that some people are into that. Not for me. Iron Man mode, of course, means that... oh, I thought it meant that you just straight up permadeath. But no, you can only be saved... you can only save the game at healing crystals. You want to save the game all the freaking time in this. It will auto-save at healing crystals, but you don't want to lose progress. Trust me, as someone who's lost like 20 minutes of progress from dying. And also single-use crystals. Basically, healing crystals are kind of like save points or inns, you could think of them. You can rest and, you know, heal yourself up. You don't want to make those single-use if you're as bad as I am. Anyway, we're going to get started, and I'm just going to make a quick party here. A little bit of like almost Dungeons of Dreadmore style stuff here. I've got to name this guy Keanu Reeves. Look at him. I'll make him a human. You know, you can see the other races if you want in the game. Insectoid, Lizardman, Minotaur, and Ratling. Each one has their own kind of benefits and drawbacks, I should say. The humans gain a little bit of experience faster. Insectoids are a little bit stronger, but then less hardy. I'm not sure what willpower actually goes into. I guess we could see here what willpower feeds into. Anyway, doesn't really matter that much. We're going to start with the human here. It's Keanu Reeves. He can be a fighter, or we can choose from a variety of classes. Here, which, you know, you've played RPGs before in your life. Alchemist, Barbarian, Battle Mage. Farmer, I actually don't know. You receive no skill points at the first level. Instead of slaying monsters, you gain experience points by eating food. That is crazy and way beyond my skill level. Anyway, we'll start with a, let's get a human fighter. You know, pretty all around. We'll just roll here for kind of random allocation of attribute points. This seems pretty good, although let's take some points out of willpower, and you can see how that affects... It doesn't look like it affects too much here, and then we'll put them into Vitality instead to give us more HP. As for traits, you know, plenty of traits here. I don't get down with this, you know, classic RPG stuff too much. You know me, I play a lot of simpler games, so when I've made my character in the past, I just like to kind of reroll it. Weapon specialization, melee attacks gain accuracy +7, and natural armor. That seems really useful for me. And we'll give him some abilities in dodging. So we get 3 evasion for every skill point, and the cooldown period for all your actions is decreased by 10. That's good, because you do have kind of like a speed rating on your attacks. Be aware, by the way, this is going to be a long video, probably. And what about athletics? Maybe that'll be good for a fighter. Increases your health by 20 for each skill point. Maybe accuracy? Increases your accuracy by 10 for each skill point. And at second level, you can perform melee attacks from the back row. Now, that seems like something that'd be better for someone in our back row, because positioning does matter. Let's just go simple, and we'll take 1 point in critical. 3% for each skill point. Sure. All right, that's fine. We'll add another prisoner here. This can be... I'm trying to think of what... Lizardman, dexterity higher, willpower lower. Strength... we are going to take a Minotaur. I think we'll make another human, and this can be like Gandalf. And we're going to make him an alchemist, because having points in alchemy is super useful. Herbs in your inventory multiply. That's crazy. And we'll give you 1 point in alchemy, because that'll allow us to craft potions, and 1 point in concentration. Increases your energy. Energy is basically mana. And then we'll roll some random stats here. We'll put like the 5 that would have been in dexterity into willpower instead. Skilled, 1 extra skill point at the first level. That seems really useful, actually. Let's roll with that. And tough. Resistant to physical punishment. Let's go with strong mind. And we'll just do some very simple stuff for the last ones here. This will be Robert De Niro, because he is going to be a raging bull. Going to be a Minotaur barbarian. Those stats look pretty good to me. Strong mind. Evasive is good, but let's just make him aggressive, which gives him extra damage. And we'll give him athletics and armor, which allows him to wear heavier stuff. And finally, let's have like a rogue class. So we'll take like a immune to diseases. That seems pretty good. We'll make you Stuart Little. If I could fit French Stuart Little in there, I would, but I can't. We'll take Stuart Little. He'll be a rogue. And sure, those stats look fine to me. Oh, no, we didn't put enough in. Same for this guy. Yeah, crank those up a little bit. That was me being a little bit of an idiot there. And your traits, poison resistant. Well, you're already resistant to, like, anything. We'll make you evasive and healthy, sure. And I'll give you extra accuracy with missile weapons and firearms. Sounds good to me. All right, we're going to start our game. Gandalf has unspent skill points. I'm an idiot. Oh, he gets 1 more point because he's skilled. Okay, I get it. Let's have him put 1 extra point in earth magic. All of these are tests, by the way. You know, you'll find scrolls that allow you to cast magic. We don't have a wizard character, so we might not actually end up casting any magic, but you'll see as we get going. Maybe it's better to just put the 2nd point in alchemy and... Oh, you can't. Alright, fair enough. Start our game. So the way that the game basically starts is it's not procedurally generated. A lot of people, when they come into Grimrock, they think that it's a procedurally generated game and that, you know, every run is going to be different. Every run can be a little different depending on the way you play it, but it's set. Like, it's linear. Which is a knock on the game. I think it would be really cool if they could somehow make a procedurally generated version of the game. But because it's so puzzly, it makes sense. The puzzles have to be kind of set, otherwise they're just going to be not as kind of clever, if that makes sense. Like procedurally generating puzzles, I don't know if I've ever seen it really done fine, but I'm also not thinking of any off the top of my head with too much effort. But there are custom dungeons that you can put into the game, and I know that a lot of people put a ton of time into custom dungeons in Legend of Grimrock 1. I was not one of them. You're thinking of this more as kind of like a single-player, focused campaign type deal. So that's our party down there. I'm just going to skip the opening cutscene. Basically, we get shipwrecked on this island. So Legend of Grimrock 1 took place, like, pretty much entirely, at least the part that I played, the few hours that I played, entirely inside of the dungeon of Grimrock, basically. You know, I believe you were, like, in prison or something, or I'm thinking of a Vernum Escape from the Pit, I think, but I thought you got, like, kicked down into a pit and then had to escape from it. That sounds a lot like a game called Escape from the Pit. So it is tile-based, turn-based, and you're a little bit outside now. The tiles aren't on the ground, at least not by default. So let's look at our party. We want to have Keanu Reeves as a fighter up at the front. We'll put our Minotaur up at the front as well. Units at the back won't be able to hit anybody with melee. No, he's not a wizard, so he can't hit anything. Yeah. Should have had a wizard so I could show you how magic works, but whatever. You can't get it all in one go, I guess. And we'll give our stick to our Minotaur, and that should allow us to beat down the door and get out of here. So yes, this is the tutorial, by the way. We use WASD to move around. We click on our skills and our... Is there anything down here? We click on our skills and objects in the environment to pick them up and then like drop them on whoever we want them to have in the inventory. What if we can attack this? Yeah, okay. We can break this. Sometimes you can get something out of it. Not here, though. There's lots of secrets, though. It's worth... you know, breaking this stuff and checking it out, because you never know what you might find in the process. I don't think there's anything special there. So it takes a minute to get used to. I take this rock and I'll put it on our unit in the back so that he can use that as a projectile weapon. You do have, if I bring up the inventory screen here, experience, of course, but also a food meter. So you want to pick up food, which we'll do right now, and put it in your inventory and eat it, which will cause your food meter to go up. I'm not sure what happens when it gets all the way to the bottom. It's one of those things that my guess is you probably don't want to find out. But food thus far has been relatively plentiful. It's not really a survival game. It's more of like an old school RPG as opposed to something like, you know, The Long Dark or The Forest or something like that. So we should encounter enemies pretty quickly here. We're just going to move around. We'll give that heavy weapon to our Minotaur and give the stick back to Keanu Reeves here. And we... Ooh, that was the wrong button. We should have combat showing up pretty much any minute now. Let's just sneak through here. Now, in spite of me saying it's not really... That sounds like an enemy, yeah. In spite of me saying it's not really a survival game, you do grab elements, like plants and whatnot, kind of detritus off the ground, and you will use that to craft stuff in an alchemical sense. Like, you want to make health potions, you need to pick up the ingredients from the ground. It's a very, very thin veneer of survivalism, which is not necessarily very different than something that shows up in other RPGs, but it is worth noting that it's there. For the most part, I'm not really a huge fan of crafting elements in games and have still not found myself perturbed by what I've seen so far. Again, do keep in mind these are fairly early impressions in a game that seems relatively massive. I have played, just barely scratched the surface of it. Haven't even really got into a huge dungeon, just a bunch of like little miniature ones. So you can interact with environments or objects in your environment like this one. You know, we can click on this to open or close this door. I'm not sure if you can use that gate more creatively. I'm just going to use it as a gate. I'm not going to try to, like, trap enemies in it or anything. So, in the early parts of the game, before we get weapons, we are going to... I wonder if I can use this as, like, a thrown weapon against this turtle. That's pretty cruel, man. I think I just ate it. Using your own offspring against you. See, like, our alchemist can't actually reach there, so he's probably going to be pretty darn worthless for, like, the early part of the game here. The combat, it seems like it's... Okay, so here's the thing with it. It's, like, pseudo... turn-based, if that makes sense. It's not really turn-based. It takes place in real time, but your units do take turns based on like the speed stat that they have and the weapons that they're using and whatnot. So when I called it a turn-based game, that's not 100% accurate, but for intents and purposes, you could call it like a pseudo-turn-based game. It occupies the space somewhere in between turn-based and real-time, which for me has always been one of the weirdest parts, or was one of the weirdest parts. Not like I've played hundreds of hours of the original Grimrock, but it was one of the weirdest parts about Grimrock is that it really feels like it should be turn-based. Not should be from like a game design standpoint. There's a key, very important to grab those. But like because of the old-school kind of mechanics going on, it always felt like that. But it's important to recognize that that's not necessarily the case. Let's talk about some critical stuff for once. Like, instead of just giving you a rundown of what is actually happening here for people who are not familiar, let's talk about what I think about the game so far. First off, AV. Graphically, the game looks real nice. Like, Grimrock 1, and we'll see some dungeon stuff in this as well. I don't think we ever get anything out of these, now that I think about it, but we'll check anyway. Grimrock 1 looked nice as well. That was one of the driving things that I think helped it originally get a lot of attention, and then also keep it based on the fact that it was actually mechanically strong. We can access our map here, as you can see. Maybe a little bit of unexplored area over there, but that's okay. We're gonna get some light puzzling here, so maybe I can come in this direction first and we can talk about that. But yeah, this one looks nicer, and I think the environment change kind of benefits it. Being marooned on this island, we will still go down into some, you know, deep and dank dungeons and stuff like that, but being able to see kind of like vistas and coastlines and horizons and stuff like that, and, you know, lush green, it's nice. Makes the game look pretty good. It does have kind of like an Unreal demo type feel to it, if that makes sense, which is not to say, by the way, we can interact with the environment in multiple ways here. For example, we could choose to put a stone down here, and that'll open that up. Do we have another rock? Because if we don't have another rock, we do have another rock. Basically, that unit doesn't have anything else to attack with right now, so I would have rather just put like a turtle egg on it or something like that, but whatever. I don't think there's any way for us to get it back. But yeah, you know, it looks a little bit uncharactered, if that's what I'm trying to pull from this. I hope you don't think I'm being snobby when I say that, because I do think the game looks good on a technical level, but from like an artistic level, you know, every opinions are like assholes, everybody has one, but I think it looks a little bit kind of like, you know, I learned how to do 3ds Max really good, but kind of don't really... It's the difference between like this and, I don't know, Transistor or something like that. This looks technically good. Transistor has like inspired art design, alright? It's not something that really matters that much. Why am I spending so much time talking about the graphics of this game? It doesn't really matter that much. The music, also fantastic, what little there is. Sound design, whatever, right?
the turtles go, "Wah." You kind of have like a weapon ka-chunk when you hit things. It is what it is. The music's nice, though. The gameplay itself, I think the one thing that has always held me back, or originally held me back with Grimrock, is still present here. And this is, I'm giving this positive impressions, but the puzzles oftentimes, like the game, I know it's straightforward compared to some of the, you know, oh, we can't stack those. We're not going to eat this many turtle steaks, jeez. I know it's straightforward relative to many of the games that it's kind of inspired by, and this is a problem with me personally, but sometimes it is a little hardcore. Like, the difficulty is on the higher side of average, I would say, and especially if you're the kind of person that isn't necessarily well-versed in Ultima, or, I don't know, Eye of the Beholder or something like that. It's a little bit of a shock to the system to some extent. I haven't found myself dying all that much, but I lose party members fairly frequently and have to go back to that crystal to get them back. That's a crystal where we, like, save, and it also heals us all the way. Also, if you ever need mana or HP, you can just, you know, hit the R button and take a little bit of a sleep, but if an enemy comes and finds you, you will be jarred from that sleep in the least awesome way ever. So this is a scroll of Fire Burst, which teaches us a spell. I probably should not have given Earth Magic to this guy, considering he's not a wizard, but over the course of that video, this isn't really going to matter. Anyway, yeah, and also the puzzles. The puzzles are very rarely, for me, obvious. Sometimes there's like a little rock on a wall you sort of push in, and then another rock wall like disappears. You'll see that very soon. And sometimes there's a puzzle like this. This one's actually a little obvious, because I think the thing over here, there's like a hint, and it says X marks the spot. So I originally had figured that I would just like try to draw an X on this, right? Which seems logical. But when I solved the puzzle, that's not how I solved it. But problematically, I don't really know how I solved it. It just opened, and I didn't really ask questions. But at least we have a use for all our turtle steaks. So let's see if that was indeed the right way. So we're gonna try to make an X here. And I think once we open it, it should be open permanently. Like, see, that door's still closed, but hey, there we go. Maybe I was indeed right. All right, so we should be able to pick up our turtle steaks here. Yeah, so the puzzles, what I will say about them, if you like them, you're going to like them, and it's very satisfying when you actually do complete them without any outside help, which is the way I've been playing the game so far. So when you kind of like walk around for a little while and then eventually figure it out, it feels really, really good. But in the, you know, intervening time until you actually... I forgot about that guy. In the intervening time until you actually get it figured out, can be a little frustrating. Enemies, they're nice and varied. There actually are boss fights to some extent. Like, I've had one thing, and we'll probably see it by the end of this episode if it doesn't get, like, this video doesn't get too freaking long, but there's, like, challenges that you end up fighting in. And I fought, like, a poisonous plant monster, which hopefully we'll be able to see. He's gonna try to run away. Hey, where are you going, man? It's a shame I don't have my wizard, because I had such good spells memorized that basically allow me to deal the brunt of my damage. So I think if we speed through it here, we're going to kill like a few more fish people in this direction, and then we'll be able to make some progress. The combat is something that I think you're either going to love or you're going to hate. And I kind of love it, even though I don't fully understand it, you know? Much like female anatomy, there's something inexplicably drawing me to it in spite of my ignorance. Just get around here. Like, I don't know if positioning, in the same way that positioning matters in something like, you know, XCOM or the Banner Saga, I don't know if like, flanking and stuff like that actually matters. Mostly, I just equip myself with the best stuff that I can get, and you can see that you automatically, like, pick up that rock off the ground there. I should give a rock to our alchemist as well, if I'm, you know, not gonna have him do anything, because I'm missing out on a little bit of damage there, not a lot. Like, each rock only does 4 damage, but that's the kind of thing that could matter in the long term. Hey, we got an achievement. We'll pick some of these herbs up as well. The reason I took a point in alchemy is because once we get a mortar and pestle, you don't just need to know the recipe in order to actually make potions. You need to have the actual requirements taken care of as well. So, like the statistical requirements. Like, you can't just use a mortar and pestle. It's kind of like in The Escapist, how it's like, you know, you put a bar of soap in a sock, but your guy just goes like, well, I don't have 50 intelligence, so I don't know how to use this crazy invention. That's a teleporter. It's a little similar to that. You have to pass the checks, which is arbitrary, but it is what it is, right? I was hoping that maybe there'd be another rock here. Hopefully we'll find one at some point. I should have used turtle stakes or something to get our puzzles done earlier, as opposed to dropping down a rock, because the rock is actually fairly useful as a damage dealer. In any case, yeah, like, I don't fully understand it. I just try to give my units the best weapons that they can possibly have, and it just sort of works itself out for the most part. I haven't had that much trouble with progress, like, knowing where to go, and that was a little bit of a problem for me, and I think you can look back at the comments in my original Legend of Grimrock video and see this. Let's see what we got in this sack here. Sling? Oh, so we can give this to our alchemist. You know what? Let's give this sling to our rat, and we'll give, like, one... Oh. Can I just give, like, one of these rocks to somebody? No, they're all stacked up? Alright. Well, we want to have the sling there, because that's a much better kind of missile weapon. But we can do sneaky stuff like that to allow us to get in here, you know? Interact with things through gates to get pressure plates and stuff like that. So I'll give you the dagger. Maybe you can take the stick. I don't think that'll reach. And we have a healing potion. Yeah, like, I don't think it'll reach, but we might as well give it a try. Okie dokie. But yeah, I got lost a lot in the original Grimrock. That might still happen here. Again, I'm so early in the game that it's a little bit difficult to tell. But so far it's been, you know, fairly easy to figure out where the heck I'm supposed to go. I was going to say, like, don't forsake me now. So now that I've picked up that key, I should just be able to open this. And, you know, it's kind of the thing where you just chain progress. Like, you know, I solve a puzzle. The puzzle gives me a key. Here comes the sling. You got to have the ammo in the right slot, by the way, in order to use it, in case you're watching this and you're like, how did he do that? Because I was like that for a second. I do think the game doesn't do a fantastic job of tutorializing everything, but I've seen other people in the games, you know, press compliment the game for this, so I'm going to take it as like a your mileage may vary type thing. I've seen people kind of say, like, isn't it nice that this game doesn't treat you like you're stupid? And if, you know what, if I was playing like an Isaac-like or a roguelike, I would say exactly the same thing, but as someone who is fairly ignorant of this genre, I would have preferred some extra tutorialization. But if someone is as ignorant of the genre, I should say, as myself, can figure it out, you can too, if you're interested. So we got our box here. We'll just pick that up with one hand, put it inside of our inventory. It's amazing to me that all the stuff that can fit inside the box takes up 5 inventory spaces, but the box itself only takes up 1. We should really just keep a box in our inventory. In fact, I think that's what we're going to do. We'll put a shovel here because we can find, like, treasure with it. We'll just put a bunch of stuff inside of the box. Like, oh, can we? I guess we open it like this and then just start dragging turtle stakes in. It's the magic box that shrinks everything. And this is amazing, but I did not even think of doing this the first time that I came through this area. But now that I see it, I'm like, earlier I was just throwing away my boxes and my sacks and stuff like that. But no way, man. This is like Minecraft chests that we can carry with us. We'll put all of our miscellaneous detritus here. Sack, yeah, why not? Like, the sacks pretty much accomplishes the same thing as well. It's going to be a nightmare to actually find this stuff when we want it. We're going to have to look through like 8 boxes to do it, but at the same time, I don't have to worry about long-term consequences because I'm going to delete this save file when the video's over. So we also picked up a rapier. So we're going to take this. Now you can see a little bit of a hint here as well. The game does give you these kind of contextual clues. And a lot of the stuff is optional. Some of it is not, but a lot of the stuff is optional. It says, at the lone oak in the shadow of the blue light, I buried it. Captain Kilhagen. Well, what would you bury if you were a ship's captain? Probably treasure, right? At the lone oak in the shadow of the blue light. Prepare yourself for some spoilers here, because if you use your deductive reasoning, there's actually a few oak trees, but anyway, if you use your deductive reasoning, please tell me I didn't reset that puzzle. Thank you. That's good game design right there. In the shadow of the blue light, so like right here, we'll dig, and I believe this is where some treasure is. We got 250 experience. Oh, we gained some levels too. Perfect. There's a healing potion, which we'll put on you, and an embalmer's robe. So let's take a look at that in our equipment. Protection +2, vitality +1. Sure. Let's equip that if we can. You don't have a shirt on, so I'll give you that. All right. Now, leveling up. Leveling up is pretty simple. You pretty much just add a point into another skill. But it's something that, you know, it pays to pay attention to. And to kind of... basically, I think the way that it's proper to level your character is based on the weapons and equipment that you find. For example, I'm using, if I look at my inventory here, a dagger. It's a light weapon. It does 3 to 10 plus your dexterity. which is, this is not a dex character, but anyway. It's a light weapon, so I might want to look at this and say, hey, light weapons. Increases damage of light weapons by 20% for each skill point. That's pretty good. At 3rd skill level, you can dual wield light weapons as long as one of them is a dagger. That seems pretty useful. We could also maybe go into athletics, you know, for extra health or concentration for extra energy. I guess we wouldn't want that, so we'll just put our point in that for now. And as for our alchemist, well, you're not really doing anything special, so if we could just have maybe, you know, for you, isn't there one like accuracy at the 2nd level you can perform melee attacks from the back row? That seems like something that could be useful for us long term. So that's how I've leveled up thus far, but it's a nice contrast after playing a game like Borderlands, which I'm still playing and actually enjoying a whole heck of a lot. It's a nice change of pace to be like, wow, I have 1 skill point, this is precious, and I have to do something meaningful with it, as opposed to being like, I have 1 skill point, let's just throw it in that thing that gives me like 2% extra bonus to that. And we'll get another level in like 2 minutes, right? So I think this is a nice change of pace. So we're on this island. We've been placed here by some kind of, or summoned here by some kind of, you know, Caliban. Is it Caliban? It's been a long time since I read The Tempest. You know, some kind of mercurial force. It says, "Dear visitor, welcome to my island. I hope your journey was not too detrimental to your health. I think you will find this island to be the most wonderful, yet the most perilous place on Earth. I don't have high hopes about your survival, but maybe you can prove me wrong. Better equip yourself before the night falls." The Island Master. So we'll get notes from him throughout the game. And I know that we've been playing for a long time here, but we're just kind of getting started. We haven't even gone down into our dungeon yet, which we are about to do. So there was another note. I'm not sure if I actually picked it up. So this is going to be a little jarring, potentially, for you right now if I haven't picked it up. Yeah, I don't think I did. But basically the note was like, the captain... Oh, maybe it was this, like, sign over here. Yeah, the second most precious thing in life for a seafaring captain is his sword, because without it he cannot command his crew. Thus, upon losing his weapon somewhere on Shipwreck Beach, he lost what is most important to him, the respect of his crew. This guy lost his sword. What did we put in his hands? No, we try to put a rock. It says the item does not fit well. Well, we got a rapier, which we can equip at light weapons level 3. Another reason to kind of, you know, get light weapons up on Keanu Reeves here. We can put that in his hands, and that will open a door for us. And this door has some staircases that take us downwards. I really think that one of the strengths of this game is kind of the dynamism. Dynamicism? Used to be an English teacher. Luckily, you don't need to know that word to teach hi, I'm fine, thank you, and you to, like, 4-year-old kids. But anyway, yeah, the kind of back and forth between environments. Like, even in the only, you know, 90 to 120 minutes, an hour and a half to 2 hours, if we're going to be not pretentious about it, I've played, I've seen, you know, this kind of, like, lush island, the dungeons, and a forest. You move pretty quickly between them, which is sweet. So that's an area we'll go to. This looks a lot more like Grimrock 1 here. But we're going to open this up, and I believe there's some kind of item in here that we need. This is a scroll that teaches us a magical spell. I think they stacked so many scrolls at the beginning just so if you are using a wizard, you're not just like, what the heck do I do? Because... as a wizard, like it's a shame I can't bring up the interface, but I know I did in my Legend of Grimrock 1 video 2 years ago. Basically, you have like a series of runes, and you kind of bang on those runes in order to cast a spell, but you don't know what they are to start with, so you got to find these scrolls to actually figure out how to use them. Anyway, we're going to have some combat here in the Halls of the Dead, I think. Yeah, there's a mummy-type character right there. So let's use our dagger, do this, use our slings. You know, get used to a lot of misses, basically. You're gonna miss a lot. Especially in the early levels, I think, which is really all that I've seen, and thus all that I can really, say anything with authority about. I think I'm really gonna miss out on not having a wizard character, because the damage that I was doing with the shock spell, which is the scroll I just picked up, was like 30 per hit, and with my dagger I'm doing like 6 when it actually hits. So that was 10, that was a little better. And when you crit, you do well as well, but... it did cost mana, but at the same time, you could just rest to get your mana back as long as there's no enemies around. There we go. Robert De Niro gained a level, and Stuart Little gained a level. So let's level them up. For my Minotaur, same thing. I'm going to level up heavy weapons +1. And for our rat, I feel like missile weapons. At 4th level, weapon attacks ignore 20 points of enemy armor. That seems useful. But accuracy could be good too. At 2nd level, you can perform melee attacks from the back row. Let's go missile weapons. We could go firearms as well. There's a gun that's pretty easy to find. We'll probably find it over the course of this this moment here. And yeah, I was going to say, there it is right there. We can't really use the gun yet. We'll just keep this stuff in the inventory for now. We can't really use the gun yet because you need to have one skill, 1 point in fire arms. I was trying to think, what are guns called again? Oh, yeah. So this is a puzzle. If you try to walk across, this thing falls down. How do we get through that? I don't know. You push the button, and then you say, oh, well, we'll probably have to kill this guy. I'm just going to wait for him to come this way. Honestly, the trick to this puzzle, by the way, is not getting him to walk on this thing, because that would make it much more difficult to murder him. I'm even going to wait till he gets close, just so that we can recover our rocks, because we could hit him from further away. The problem is if we hit him from further away, we can't just recover the rocks right here like I'm doing by clicking and dragging, so it's not maybe ideal. I'm not sure why I'm still even swinging with our alchemist. Like, I don't know if there's necessarily any negative reasoning behind it. There we go. That was actually fairly easy. Yeah, so we try to walk across. Doesn't work. Maybe we'll do this. Try to walk across. Oh, we can't beat it. No, not in time. All right. So what you got to do here, to completely spoil this puzzle, is you would maybe go into your inventory here and you'd say, hey, I don't really need this letter. It's extremely heavy paper. Then you press the button, and now you've broken the logic of the puzzle, so you can just straight up walk across here. Let's get that stuff off the screen. We got a couple more dudes to fight. We're actually making good progress over the course of this episode. I'm going a lot quicker than you would if you were playing it off camera and you didn't know what's up. But I think this is a pretty good primer. And I do want to say, I'm aware of my own limitations as a YouTuber, reviewer, whatever you want to call it is that I do. And I would not necessarily say that this is, a definitive call to action, buy Legend of Grimrock 2, don't buy it. This is more just like, here's my experience with the game. And admittedly, I don't have an extraordinary amount of experience with the genre. I like the original. I've been enjoying the time that I've had with this one, and I think I'll probably spend more time with it, although I'm not 100% sure. Unlike some games that I do Let's Look Ats for, this is a... Oh, do we have a key? Did we just pick up a key? I should have been paying attention. Yeah, we did. Unlike a lot of games that I end up covering on the Let's Look At series, this is a game that I've enjoyed playing, I go to eat dinner. Oh, I can't wait till dinner's over so I can go back and play Legend of Grimrock 2. Some games you have to force yourself to play. This is not one of them. It's also, for me, not one that I think is going to be on like my year-end best-of list. But I do think this is a game that, for a lot of people, is going to be one of their favorite games of the year. And it's a shame that, I can't put myself necessarily into their shoes to say, that I agree or disagree with them. But, it's the same way that, if you're a big fan of... If you're a big fan of football, maybe Madden this year is going to be one of your favorite games. If you're super into like this old school RPG aesthetic, they don't make a whole lot of games like this. Although I guess it's been a good year between stuff like, Divinity and which I didn't play, or Wasteland, which I didn't play, and this. So maybe it's been a bit of a stronger year than I anticipated. But yeah, if you're the kind of person that's into stuff like that, I would advise that you take a look. For everybody else, it's an extremely accessible way to kind of get a little bit of a flavor for the genre. I'm enjoying it, and it is approachable despite its difficulty. But at the same time, maybe a little bit pricey as an impulse purchase. We're going to take this Horn of Summoning. We're not done with this dungeon quite yet, though. I know it's dark, by the way. It's just kind of, RPG video games. Anyway, let's come back through here. And did I leave something here? Is the note? I don't think we need it, but I'll take it with me, because why not? Leave it better than you found it. Yeah, $27 or whatever it is in American, probably 23. You saw that I clicked on the secret rock there. It looks obvious unless you're not looking for it. It might be a little bit pricey, but this is the kind of game that, if Grimrock 1 is any indication, goes on sale a lot. It's been in Humble Bundles and stuff like that. And that's not me saying, hey, don't buy this, wait for a sale. It's me saying, if you're on the fence, that might be something that is considered appropriate. And if you see it on sale and you're watching this video because it's in like a Humble Bundle and it's like you got to pay at least $10 to get it, this is me saying, hey, that's probably more appropriate for somebody who's not necessarily an enormous fan of the genre. So for now, we're almost to the first trial here, which is pretty much all that I'm going to show off in the first episode here. This is a secret. I just wanted to show off. First off, I wanted to show off that I even figured out the secret, because I played Grimrock 1, and I was looking around like the whole time when I was doing my quote-unquote research here. This turtle is so freaking fast. There we go. I was looking around. Is there a stake there? Yes, there is. 2 stakes. I was looking around, and I was like, I know I'm going to find a rock somewhere. I think I dropped that one somewhere I shouldn't have. I know I'm going to find a rock somewhere, and guess what? I did. We use those herbs, by the way, to make potions, I think I mentioned. Can't open this. What's up with that? Well, we're going to need to equip our lockpick for a second here. And then click and drag. It gives us a mask, which gives us protection and extra energy. I don't know, man. I think we'll put this on our Keanu Reeves character just because he's not super tanky. And a healing potion, which we'll just stack up there. And we'll put the horn back on. Yeah, and also to show off that there's a lot of stuff that if you just kind of run through the game, you know, it's not 100% linear. You're going to end up missing out on some stuff. So, we're going to head down here, and we did get to the exit of the dungeon, which I think is over here. Easy to get turned around in here. Oh, God. I'm an idiot. Put the letter back down. I'm going to delete the save anyway, so who even cares? And then we'll run through here. This is an example, by the way, of like the easiest puzzle that you will possibly come across in the history of the game. So we'll bang out through here, and this will take us like to an area where I believe that there's just like a switch and then a secret kind of rock shortcut. So far, in the very early parts of the game, the whole thing seems to kind of revolve around this central hub ship right here, which I think is cool. It's got almost like a Dark Souls kind of like hidden wall type navigation associated with it. We're gonna just click in save here as we approach the end of the video. And we're also gonna get ready. I'm not gonna change my formation. We're gonna get ready to fight in here. Now, sometimes there's enemies in here. First time that I came through, there were some turtles, but there's not here. Now on... Oh, do we have a key necessary to open this? Maybe I should have gone to this area as well. Maybe this is why there were enemies here. No. Okay, good. That's a good thing. Oh, that's not even a lock, is it? That's a lock. I'm an idiot. By the way, there is like a day-night cycle. If you rest, and then you come back, like you rest to get your HP and energy back, and then you wake up, it could actually be nighttime. I don't know if the enemies are stronger at nighttime or anything like that, but it was a little disorienting the first time I took a sleep outside, and then I woke up, I was like, oh man. Resting is a very important part of the strategic game. Welcome to the location of your first challenge. When you are ready, stand in the circle and call out the guardians, the island master. We're standing in the circle. Let's summon the horn. And we're going to fight some viper roots. These were the enemies that I was talking about a little earlier. So there's two of these dirt bags. We're going to try to smack the crap out of them without getting poisoned ourselves. So it is possible to, like, actively dodge those attacks. It's just annoying. There are status effects, like you can get poisoned. If you take a long fall, there's a very realistic chance that you'll end up, you know, hurting the legs of whoever fell. Oh, come on. And as a result of it, like, they're not going to be able to move as quickly, and that'll slow you down, and also they'll get attacks, like, or they'll be able to attack a lot less often. See, like, it's turning into night right now. I'm not totally sure what determines the cycle yet, but it's cool that it exists, and I'm sure that it, I'm guessing that it has kind of a deeper mechanic than I've given it credit for. We're just gonna move away for a second. I'm gonna take a healing potion quickly, and I'll probably put one on my Minotaur in a second as well. But for now, let's just move around. Hey, don't try that. Okay. If you're standing in line with them, they can actually hurt you pretty bad. But if you try to go away from them, they usually do like a poison attack at you, which is equally annoying. So I'd really like to just smash one here to the point where it actually dies. But you never want to... You know, positioning in a way is important, even though I said I didn't know whether or not it was. It's important because you don't want to be in a position where two enemies can hit you easily at the same time. So I'm going to click and drag a potion over here on my Minotaur. You do need some kind of quick skills here if you're going to be 100% okay. I did manage to land a shot there. We're going to win this one just fine. And we might not even lose anybody in the process. If someone dies, they're not gone forever. Which again is something that I almost wish was a little different, because I think that would add a different element to it, but it's not for Grimrock. It would be for a different game kind of in this vein. Like, I think a game in this vein that was pretty much identical to Grimrock, but procedurally generated instead, and more of a focus on combat instead of puzzles, would be a little bit more up my alley. Not to say that it would be any better than Grimrock is, but it would probably be a little bit easier for me to, you know, understand. Oh, you're gonna pop up right in the exact same spot? I mean, I get it. I'm just kind of mad about it, but we're gonna win here regardless. Oh god, put the rock in your inventory, you ding-dong. Probably like 3 hits away from finishing this off, and that's where we're gonna end the video when we finish this off. Just one more hit like this, one sling, and there we go. We got a power gem. Now, you use those power gems much in the same way that you would use, I don't know, the fairies in The Legend of Zelda. Not like maybe the jewels, that's what I'm trying to think of. You know, the way you would get jewels or Triforce shards, and that would allow you, if you got enough of them, to open up another area. That seems to be how it's kind of gated so far. So this is Legend of Grimrock 2. If you like Legend of Grimrock 1, or you have an affinity for kind of old school dungeon crawling RPGs with the pen and paper kind of hardcore aesthetic to them, I would encourage you to check this out, even though it's a little bit more puzzly than necessarily combat mechanics driven. It's got a lot of cool stuff going on. Not necessarily 100% my cup of tea, but I think that's a testament to how quality it is, that even someone who's a bit of a neophyte for the genre can still draw a lot of value from it. Again, a little bit pricey on Steam. $27 Canadian. I think it's 23 or 24 American, but I can't see that anymore because I'm up here in the Great White North. I like it. Consider this kind of like not even a lukewarm approval. It's like, it's an approval, but with an asterisk, and the asterisk says, know what you're getting into, because this is not Diablo. This is not, a loot treadmill. This is, it's much more of kind of a hardcore, old school, kind of slow, puzzly, strategic dungeon crawler. As opposed to, like, I just summoned a dragon, the dragon nuked everything with these cool, like, bloom and lighting effects, and now I picked up a godly plate of the whale. So know what you're getting into here, but yeah, this is super cool. I think it seems thus far like a faithful sequel to the, what people who love the original would have wanted. And we'll head back to the main menu here. I know that we'll lose... Save often! I know that we'll lose some progress there, but and it seems to kind of like iterate and expand on the original in ways that I think people who like the original will be excited by. Of course, I would encourage you to seek out further opinions, especially for a game that's a little bit on the pricey side as far as indie stuff goes, but I like it so far. I'm impressed. If you like the video, click the like button. It helps out a great deal, and of course, subscribe if you want to see more first impressions in the future. But for now, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.